Okay, guys, let's get into it. Lunch and learn. Measure what matters. The Wiz, KDR Fitness. Okay. So we're going to talk about the scale today. We're going to talk about weighing yourself. So what we're going to cover today, measure what matters. It's a really common saying, measure what matters. Like, that makes sense. I should probably measure the important things to me. I check my bank account a couple times a week. I check my retirement account every 2 weeks. I check my gas every time I get in the car. I'm measuring what matters, right? You must track. So weighing is not enough. Sometimes when we look in the training app and we're looking for somebody's weigh-in, and I'm like, hey, I haven't seen a number for a couple weeks. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm weighing myself. Okay, cool. That's one part of the equation. The other part is tracking, okay? And arguably tracking is the most important thing, but you can't track without weighing yourself, okay? The reason why you track is you have no idea what your exact weight was a week ago. And you have no idea what your exact weight was a month ago, right? That's why you write it down, because you're able to go back a month and say, okay, I was 189.8, and now 30 days later, I'm 185.3, okay? That 3-pound weight change that happens in 30 days, you're not really going to notice that, okay? Unless you're like 130 pounds and you're going from 130 down to 127, you're going to notice that. But for like 99% of people that are watching this, if you're like 200 pounds, you lose 3 pounds. I mean, that's you didn't drink 48 ounces of water the day before. Okay, that's how you lose 3 pounds, right? And you won't even notice it, okay? So you have to be tracking it. And obviously, in order to track it, you have to weigh yourself. Maintenance is always the goal. I'm going to talk about that in a couple slides. But maintenance is always the goal, okay? The scale beats food journaling. Success leaves clues. Why we want you to weigh yourself at least a few times a week. And then we're going to go over the normal weight fluctuations. Okay, so that's what we're going to cover today. Before I get into that, weight loss is complicated, and without an advanced understanding of specific sciences, you will never understand it. You are not going to learn about weight loss from somebody's 30-second reel or somebody's minute TikTok video or even somebody's 4-minute TikTok video. That's not going to happen, all right? You have to understand biology. You have to understand anatomy. You have to understand physiology. You have to understand exercise physiology, which is different than regular physiology, okay? There's a lot of sciences that you have to understand. Your job is not to understand weight loss like we do. Your job is not to be an expert in weight loss, okay? Your job, your goal is to understand what impacts your weight. It's to understand how your weight fluctuates, what causes that. It's to understand what is weight loss for you. Weight loss for you is going to be different than somebody else. You might be able to eat a Snickers bar every day and lose a pound or 2 every week. Whereas somebody else, if they look at a Snickers bar, they gain 5 pounds, right? What behaviors you need to have for success, and ultimately what behaviors you are doing that is making you not successful. So behaviors for not success, right? That is your job, okay? That's your goal. Understand weight loss as it applies to you within the context of those roughly 5 things. All right, so why do we want you to weigh yourself every day? Well, first of all, it sets the tone for the day. So 10 seconds in the beginning of the day can literally set the tone for your entire day, okay? Because your weight is going to do one of 3 things. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, or it's going to stay the same. If it goes up, like if you gain a pound or 2, it's probably going to motivate you to focus more on the plan. Hey, I gained a pound or 2. Well, why'd that happen? I wasn't really following the plan yesterday. Okay, double down on the plan. Weight goes down, probably going to motivate you to continue to focus on the plan. Hey, what did I do yesterday? Oh man, what I did yesterday was really good. My weight went down 2 pounds. I will do that again today. If your weight stays the same, it's probably going to motivate you to continue doing what you're doing, because remember, maintenance is always the goal. So literally just stepping on the scale, 10 seconds in the beginning of the day, opening up the app, tracking it, putting it in there, is going to change your entire outlook on food, activity, et cetera, for the rest of that day, okay? If you don't step on the scale, well, then you don't really know if what you're doing is working. So get on that scale, 10 seconds, beginning of the day, set the tone. Measure what matters. If you want, this always cracks me up. I haven't really heard this a lot recently, but every once in a while, when I'm telling somebody, hey, I want you to weigh yourself every day. And they're like, whoa, I can't. Well, the last nutritionist I work with, they said, don't weigh myself more than once a month or like once every 2 weeks or some just ridiculous thing, right? If the whole goal is to weigh less, right? Like you're coming to us for weight loss, you're 200 pounds and you want to get down to 160. It would probably benefit you to weigh yourself every day or a couple times a week, because if you don't, you literally know nothing about what's happening, okay? If you're stepping on the scale every day, at least you're able to say, oh, you know what? The hamburger and french fries that I had yesterday was not the greatest thing for me. I'm up 1.5 pounds. Or, geez, you know what? I had a pint of ice cream yesterday and I'm down 1.5 pounds. Oh, that must mean that ice cream doesn't cause me to have excess weight. Okay. So weighing yourself daily really starts to break down a lot of self-limiting beliefs that people have around food and their weight. All right. So if you want to lose weight and you don't weigh yourself, how do you know if the plan is working? It's really simple. If you don't track your weight over time, how do you know if the plan is working? So it's one thing to step on the scale. It's another thing to actually track it, be able to go back in time and say, hey, you know what? 30 days ago, I was 6 pounds heavier. You're not going to know that unless you track it. Weighing is not enough. Weighing is not enough. You must track. Okay, you must write it down. You must record it. We make it really easy for you to do that in the app. We are looking at averages ultimately. And if you're not tracking, you really can't figure out averages. So what we're really looking for is week 1, let's say you're 200 pounds. Week 2, you're 198.5. Week 3, you're 196.2. Week 4, you're 195.8. Week 5, you're 194.1. So from week 1, so beginning of week 1 to the end of week 5, in this example, this person lost 6 pounds. That's pretty cool. Now, within the context of them losing 6 pounds, let's say here on week 2, their average was 198.5, but their high was like 203, and their low was like 196. Right? And that gives us that average of 198.5. Let's say on week 3, their average was 196.2, but they had a high of 200 and they had a low of 192 average. Okay. Because your weight is going to fluctuate every single day. You need to be comfortable with that. You need to accept the fact that your weight's going to fluctuate every day, and that's okay. Your bank account fluctuates every day. Your gas mileage fluctuates every day. Your retirement account fluctuates every day. Almost every single thing in your life fluctuates on a daily basis. Your weight is no different. All right. That is how weight loss happens. That's how we want weight loss to happen. Not, and this is where most people get caught up with the scale and they're like, well, I can't weigh myself every day because it demoralizes me and I get neurotic about it, et cetera, et cetera. That's because your expectations are whacked out. Those people that are like, well, I can't weigh myself every single day because I get neurotic and the scale just like makes me go crazy. Your expectations are whacked out, because what you're expecting to step on the scale on day 1 and see 200. And then you're expecting to step on the scale on day 2 and see 199. And then day 3, 198. And then day 4, 197. And then day 5, 196. In the meantime, you're like following the diet 50%. You're getting like 3,000 steps a day. You're sleeping 6 hours. Like, it's not going to happen. There are some times where it's going to happen like that, right? Day 1, day 2, day 3, every single day goes down, like for maybe 1 to 5% out of your entire journey. That's going to happen. Okay. Or you went out to like an Italian restaurant, you had like a pound of bread, a pound of pasta, 4 beers, and you wake up the next day and you're 8 pounds heavier from all water retention. Yeah, you're probably going to see those 8 pounds come off over the next couple of days in terms of pounds drop, right? But that's just you losing water weight. That's not you actually losing any body fat. So imagine, this is why maintenance is the goal. I cannot stress this enough, okay? Imagine you at your healthiest, fittest, looking and feeling your best. It was probably in the past. So for instance, let's say you're 50 and you're like, man, when I was 40, I loved what I saw in the mirror. I was 50 pounds lighter, et cetera, et cetera. I was in my happy state. Okay. That's probably not where you are now, because ultimately we're talking to each other. So what if in that scenario, we have this 50-year-old who gained 50 pounds, okay? And we go back in time to 10 years ago when they really loved what they were seeing and how they felt. They were in their happy state and they never gained the weight. They just maintained that weight for the last 10 years, right? What if you never changed from your happy state? 200 pounds now and you want to get back down to 150 like you were 5 years ago? Geez, if you would have just maintained that weight at 150, we wouldn't even be talking to each other right now. That is why maintenance is the goal. And the only way that you're going to be able to figure out maintenance is by weighing yourself every day so that you can understand how food impacts you, how activity impacts you, how sleep impacts you. All of these different things impact your daily weights. So what if you never gained the 50 pounds? We wouldn't be talking to each other right now, maybe, right? Weight gain happens gradually, 1 pound over the course of a couple weeks. Weight gain does happen rapidly. Again, we go back to like that. You know, you have a pound of pasta, you have a pound of bread, you have 6 beers, you're probably going to gain a bunch of weight, right? Weight gain, long-term weight gain. So this rapid weight gain typically is just water retention. I could gain 10 pounds from Friday to Monday. And out of those 10 pounds that I gained from Friday to Monday, like 9.5 of it is water, right? So any kind of rapid weight gain will typically be water weight unless you are just really consuming a whole bunch of calories every single day for a long period of time, okay? Weight gain typically happens in terms of sheets of paper. What that means is, so here's my sheet of paper, okay? Now, the way that weight gain happens is I put a little piece of paper here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and here, here, and here, and here. That's how you deposit fat. People often think that you deposit fat all in your midsection. That is bloating, okay? That is bloating and water retention. Your body does not want to deposit fat in one specific area, okay? So in other words, it doesn't want to take that fat and put it all in the midsection. No, it doesn't want to do that, okay? There are certain times where that will happen, but generally speaking, across the board, doesn't happen. Your body deposits fat everywhere, all right? So that's why if you don't weigh yourself every single day, and let's say you're 195, you can easily get to 200 without even noticing it, without paying any attention, because it's just pieces of paper that are getting put down and you can't even see that 5-pound weight gain, okay? Weight gain happens with age. That is it's almost unavoidable unless you have that understanding that maintenance is the goal. Coach Jamie has weighed exactly the same for the last roughly 19 years, plus or minus a couple pounds. Been about 135. She gets down to around 131. She gets up to about like 138. Generally speaking, she hovers around 134, 135, a little bit in the lower 130s for 19 years, almost 20 years. Okay. So you can absolutely maintain your weight as you age, but you have to understand that maintenance is the goal. So weight gain also happens out of nowhere. I talk to people every single week and I'll ask them, I'm say like, hey, what was the lowest weight that you're at in the last 5 years? What's the highest weight? And then I'll say something along the lines of like, why do you think you gained the weight? And they're like, I don't know. I didn't change anything. You know, I didn't move less. I didn't eat more, et cetera, et cetera. It just happened out of nowhere. That's a very common thing I hear with people, okay? There is a reason why you gain the weight. It doesn't just happen out of nowhere. There's always a reason. So it happens out of nowhere, but not really, because there's always a reason. Weight gain happens by a pound here and a pound there. Let's say over the course of 16 weeks, you gain 1 pound every 3 weeks, and you don't lose that pound. So on week 1, you're up 1 pound. And then for the next 2 weeks, you don't lose that 1 pound. And that means that by the time week 3 rolls around, now you're up 2 pounds because you just gained a pound on week 3. And then you don't lose those 2 pounds. Now, by the time week 5 rolls around, now you're up 3 pounds because you just gain a pound, right? That is how weight loss happens. And you will not notice that pound come on you. You will not notice 5 extra pounds deposited everywhere across your body, okay? So weight fluctuations, make peace with weight fluctuations and stop expecting fairy tale results. A fairy tale result is losing 20 pounds in 14 days and keeping it off. You can absolutely lose 20 pounds in like 5 days. Don't eat or drink, and you'll lose a lot of weight. But you're not going to keep it off. Okay, that is a fairy tale result. Oh, my weight is up. Oh, I gained 5 pounds. Yeah, because you had 3 pounds of pasta last night. Yes, because you slept like shit. Yes, you had a bunch of salty food the day before. So there's a lot of things that will impact your weight going up. Weight fluctuations, just like bank account fluctuations, are normal. Roughly, we see about a 1 to 4% weight fluctuation on a daily basis. So if you're 200 pounds, that means that you could theoretically go as high as 208 and as low as 192. And those would just be your normal weight fluctuations. The heavier you are, so the higher your body weight, the greater those weight fluctuations will be. If you're like 130, your weight fluctuations are not going to be like 6 or 7 pounds. It'll be more like 1 or 2 pounds. Averages and trends are what we are looking for. And if you're not tracking those things, you cannot figure out your averages or trends. We are not looking for you to weigh less on Monday than you did on Sunday. That's some fairy tale shit. I mean, you might, okay? Well, let me back up. So if you are, let's say you do weigh more on Monday than you did on Sunday. And let's say on Sunday, you decided that you wanted to just drink a lot of beer, or you wanted to have a lot of French fries and hamburgers or whatever. And then you step on the scale on Monday and your weight's up. You're up like 3 pounds. That's all water weight. Okay, that's going to go back down. But if you don't weigh yourself, you don't know how long it's going to take you to lose that water weight. I know how long it takes me to lose water weight. It takes me anywhere between 2 to 5 days. Okay. So you should understand how long it takes you to lose the water weight that you gain. So we are not necessarily looking for weight to be less Monday over Sunday. Really what we're looking for is we're looking for 7 days. So it kind of goes back to that week 1 average, week 2 average, week 3 average. And really in the grand scheme of things, I'd much rather see 14 days. I'd much rather see what's your average over this 14 days and what's your average over this 14 days. That's really what I would like to see, 10 to 14 days. Success leaves clues. This is a great saying I like to use with people. So this is from the National Weight Control Registry. So it's a website. I think it's www.nwcr.com, I think. And this is basically, this is a nonprofit, and they look at people that have been successful at maintaining their weight after they lose it. So specifically, they're looking at a 30-pound weight loss, and they've kept that 30 pounds off for at least 1 year or longer, okay? And they break it down. They're like, hey, what are the successful habits that these people use that we could maybe implement into other plans? And one of the successful habits that the people use that keep the weight off of them is 75% of them, 3/4, 3 out of every 4 people, weigh themselves at least once a week. Uh-oh, I'm up 4 pounds from last Friday. Gonna have to rein it in for the next week. That's it, right? You get down to your maintenance, you step on the scale once a week, and if you're within a 1 to 2 pounds, then you're doing a great job. If you notice that your weight's up 4 pounds, okay, then you got to rein in the next couple of days to drop those 4 pounds, probably water weight. But it doesn't matter. You still want to get the 4 pounds of bloat off, right? Too easy. But if you don't step on the scale, you have no idea what's happening. And then all of a sudden you go to the doctor's 3 months from now. The doctor's like, hey, you gained 20 pounds since last time I saw you. And then you're like, yeah, my clothes are fitting a little bit tighter, but I mean, I'm still in the same pair of pants. You just can't breathe in those pair of pants like you could 20 pounds less, right? Success leaves clues. We used to have People Food Journal. That used to be a really big component to what we did. And this was before we kind of reverse engineered the problem of maintenance. This is when we were still focused on weight loss. The cool thing about maintenance is basically, if you know that if you walk 6,000 steps every day and you get 7 hours of sleep every night, and you drink the same amount of fluid every day, let's say it's like 80 ounces of fluid every day. and you're eating 3 meals a day, and each one of those meals is roughly like the same kind of thing where like, okay, breakfast, I have some protein, some carbs, and some veggies, and lunch, I have, same thing. And then dinner, I have some starch, whatever it is. Okay. But you're eating 3 meals a day and you're eating in a consistent pattern that you're repeating, and you're weighing yourself every single day. That's like the best food journaling that you can do, because and let's say your weight's not changing when you're doing all of that. Great. You just figured out maintenance. You just figured out exactly what you need to do in order to maintain your weight. Now, in order to move that scale down, you want to change either your steps, possibly sleep, or food, right? So if you're at 6,000 steps and you're doing all these other things and you're weighing yourself, your weight stays the same. Okay, great. If you go from 6,000 steps to 8,000 steps and you keep everything else the same, you're going to lose weight. But if you didn't take time to figure out what that looks like, and you're just like, you wake up on Tuesday and you're like, all right, I want to lose weight. I'm going to cut out all the carbohydrates. I'm going to start exercising more. I'm going to whatever. And you didn't actually establish a baseline. You didn't establish what it looks like for maintenance. You're going to be it'll be very difficult for you to maintain that weight once you get it off. All right. So scale beats food journaling. What you consume, eat/drink impacts your weight. Duh. Hopefully that's not news for anybody. You guys it's like, oh my God, that's earth shattering, right? That's literally how you gain weight, is basically just what you're consuming. Okay. How you move your body impacts your weight. Duh, same thing. If you sit on your butt all day long and you're eating a bunch of very high calorie foods, you're going to gain weight. If you eat those same high calorie foods, but you're walking like 20,000 steps a day, you're probably not going to gain weight. Maybe. But you don't know the specifics. Like you just know, man, if I eat too much food and I don't move enough, I gain weight. But you don't know the specifics. How much do you have to move? How does movement impact your weight? If you get 6,000 steps, is that enough? Maybe you have to get 10,000 steps. How does what you eat impact your weight? Maybe you're like, man, I really like blueberries. I'm eating a lot of blueberries. And it ends up being you're just eating too many blueberries because you're eating like 3 pounds of blueberries. How does sleep impact your weight? Anytime that you get lower sleep than what you would typically get, your weight will almost always go up. You have to figure this shit out. Within the context of maintenance, you have to figure out, how many steps do I have to get minimum? Great. That tells me the absolute base number of steps I have to get. So if I want to lose weight, I move more than that, right? You have to figure this stuff out. And you also have to make peace with weight fluctuations. Your weight's going to go like this. That's cool. Your bank account goes like that. You don't like look in your bank account and see $1,000 off, like you looked on the bank account on Monday and you see $2,000, and then you look in the bank account on Tuesday and you see $1,000. It's not like you start crying. You're like, oh my God, where'd that extra $1,000 go? You don't know exactly where it went. You spent it. Make peace with those fluctuations. You understand that, hey, I spent the $1,000, but I know I also get paid on Friday, so I'm going to get a paycheck in that account and it's going to bring it back up. Alternatives. This is really alternatives once you're in maintenance. Okay. Clothing uniform. I wear the same uniform, right? KDR t-shirt, sweatpants, shorts. Okay. If you have the exact same uniform that you wear every single day, then you can potentially use that clothing or that uniform as a way of determining your maintenance. For me, for my shirts, if I start to see kind of my belly, so if I start to see my belly sticking out a little bit too much in like my regular KDR shirts, that lets me know, okay, I got to rein in a little bit. If my sleeves start to get a little bit too tight on my biceps, on my arms, okay, and it's not muscle, I'm not seeing more definition, I'm just experiencing tighter shirt sleeves with no more muscle definition. Okay, I got to rein in a little bit, right? Jeans. We used to do this program called Drop 2 Sizes. And what we would do is, it was a 6-week program, 6 to 8 weeks, depending on kind of when you did it. We would have you basically take a picture of yourself wearing a pair of jeans that were too small for you. So you had to be able to get them up to your hips, okay? Had to be able to get them up to your hips, but you couldn't be able to button them. So we take a picture, and then we'd have you get a pair of jeans that was about 1 to 2 sizes smaller than that. And you'd have two goals. The first goal is to get those jeans up and button. And then the second goal is to get into your size smaller jeans. And so in this 6 to 8 week period, people would typically lose at least 2 pant sizes, with the average person losing 4 pant sizes. And the whole reason being is because they would try those jeans on that were too tight every single day, just like weighing themselves every single day. And basically the same thing's going to happen with the jeans as it does with your scale. Scale weight's going to go, your body weight's going to go up, go down, stay the same. Those jeans are either going to fit a little bit better, a little bit worse, or about the same. And it's going to motivate you the same way, right? So jeans, as long as they are jeans, these are not like spandex jeans. These are like denim, okay? They can't be stretchy clothing, all right? So you could absolutely just use your non-stretchy clothing as a determiner of your success in maintenance. Reasonable. I'm not in love with that because you will have some people who are like, yeah, you know, I'm in my size for like a guy, I'm in my size 32s, but man, they're really, really tight. Okay. So maybe you probably should be in a size 34, but you're staying in the size 32s because you're not accepting the fact that you gained some weight. You really should be in a size bigger jeans, right? Pictures. Pictures are great. Before and after pictures are fantastic. They're a big pain in the ass to take. There's a little bit, it's a little more involved than just like taking like a selfie for like Instagram or something. But pictures are absolutely a viable way of monitoring your weight. Bodybuilders back in the 70s, they would really just use how do they look in the mirror. So every day they wake up, they look at themselves in the mirror, they weigh themselves, and then they make adjustments to their diet and their training program based off of those data points, okay? So you could absolutely do pictures. If you're gonna do pictures, you wanna take a picture at the beginning of the month, take a picture at the end of the month, okay? So basically take a picture on the 1st, take a picture on the 30th, and then you're just kind of repeating that process. Bathing suit's a good one. Sometimes I will use bathing suit, although I find that bathing suit, the tricky thing with bathing suit is bloating. So like, actually, we're gonna talk about that in a different lunch and learn, okay? But you can use a bathing suit. Basically, you put the bathing suit on. If you like the way you look, you're doing a great job of maintenance. If you don't, you're doing a shitty job of maintenance, right? Feelings. I feel lighter. Probably not great to rely on. I feel like I'm eating enough food. Okay, but you're eating 600 calories. I feel like I'm exercising enough. Okay, you're working out 1 day every 3 weeks. I feel like this is too much food to eat. This is 1,000 calories that you're eating. Really, I want you to get to 1,800 calories. Feelings are not the best thing to use to determine what you should be doing for your results, okay? We really want to try and use very concrete things that we can measure, we can monitor, we can track, we can manipulate, those kind of things. Feelings, not the best to go about that. All right, gang, that's the lunch and learn. I hope you guys learned something. We'll do another one next week. If you have any topics that you want me to talk about, shoot them in. If you have any questions, shoot them in. And then I'll incorporate that into the next lunch and learn.